Hello, friends. It's so great to be with you again here on the Light Your Life podcast. I'm Tina Marie, and I have a wonderful guest that I want you to know, and not only know, but fall in love with, just like I have. And so let me tell you a little bit about her. Miss Alli Suter. She is powerful. She is expansive. She is highly connected to a realm that you're going to want to know more about. And today, that's what we're diving into. Alli Suter taps into the angels, your angels, my angels, the angelic realm. And her tagline on her website at allisuter.com reads, "Where the cosmos meets the canvas." And so if I haven't yet gotten you to lean in and go, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm listening to this, the next thing I want you to know is that she speaks to your angelic guides so that you can receive messages that I know you know are on the other side, but sometimes we may be a little scared to reach over there and say, what do you really want me to know? And she does this with such grace, passion, and aliveness and authenticity that you're going to feel at home in your skin like you've never felt before. And I speak from experience. So Alli Suter, thank you so much for being our beautiful, wonderful, very well-connected guest today on Light Your Life.
Oh, Tina Marie, thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful introduction. I'm so honored to be here. It really is a pleasure. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Yo, it's my honor. You have brought so much light, not only to my life, but we have many friends in common. And, whenever we are connected to that circle of people that get it, it just feels like you're part of a tribe, you're part of a fam, that people go, yes, there is so much more to this physical realm than what we see, taste, feel, there's so much more sensuality and participation that we can have in our lives. And I know, over these last years, it seems as though there's opened up something of a hunger. And even the most professional of minds or the most engineering of minds that say, yes, there's something more here that we can experience. And I'm so glad the universe has brought you into my life because you've expanded that knowing for me and so many people that I know and love as well.
That's so beautiful. Yes, thank you. I agree that the time is now. People are hungry. They're hungry to connect with something more than what they physically see. They also, there's a common sensing that there's something more. It's not so, obscure and bizarre. We have Wi-Fi that runs through our house that we don't see, hear, taste, or touch, and yet we know it works. So we have a lot of things in our world that are of that sort of magic yet tangible. It's like science and magic. So I think that these paintings and connecting with the angelic realm is not only needed now more than ever, people are hungry for it now more than ever. They understand it without understanding it. They're curious. They're like, I just know. So it's really a perfect timing and just so beautiful, and it's such an honor for having that energy translate onto the canvas for people.
Yeah, and we're going to get to your art because I want everybody here to know exactly what you produce and channel and how they can participate and how they can say, yes, I want this now, please. I'd love to start where in your life, because each one of us has a journey, right? And our journey leads us to these next steps, these next open doors for us. Take us to Alli's world. What has brought you to this place where you're channeling angels? It didn't just begin this way, did it?
No, it didn't begin this way. And I really prefer, rather than the word channel, sounds like something that it's a familiar word. It's something that, we take outside of ourselves and we filter it through ourselves and then we express it out. And
Mhm.
lately, the word, I do tap into it and I share it. So it doesn't really go through my own personal filters. And this is something of a definition that just recently I just wanted to share that with you. And I haven't really created or tapped into the right word. So I just wanted to share that while we start. And the beginning of me, I've had two near-death experiences in my life that I generally don't talk too much about. One happened when I was 4 years old, and then the other one happened again when I was 18. So I did begin the world connected with the angelic realm and connected with the light. And that memory is so vivid. that, and it was something my family, we just didn't talk about. So it was a personal experience that shaped the rest of my life. And, you know, at 17, I was creating little ceremonies in my room by myself with sage and feathers and praying to the earth and connecting to my guides, not even knowing what I was doing, not knowing how much that near death at 4 really affected me, because it just was who I was. It
Mm.
was, you know, that light shine through me. And I always knew there was something more. And instead of like, you know, out with my friends at parties, I was doing these. I sure, if anybody from my high school gets a hold of this or understands my story, you know, they probably would say, oh yeah, we knew. So it just has, you know, woven a level of love and a level of faith. And then, you know, again, at 18, when it happened, was also something we never really talked about. And it's not something that I um, say so outwardly on my website, like, oh, I had these near deaths, so therefore I da da da. In explaining my story, it does have you understand why I've always been so woven in with the spiritual world. And my parents, even though we didn't speak about it, they always said, you know, do what you love. You're a creative, you're an artist, you're, you know, you're loving, you're like this little fairy, just it'll all work out. That's how I was raised, rather than get good grades. And, you know, I would go to college. I studied fine art in at Arizona State University. So it was something of a passion for mine, the weaving of the spirit and art. Yet it wasn't until later on in my life, as I wove my life through dance and becoming a businesswoman and running my company and being a CEO in the music industry, did I emerge through weaving of the paint and the spirituality at this time in my life over the last few years.
This is
So
beautiful.
yeah, it's really, it's been a real wonderful journey.
It has been. So take us to, thank you for sharing that. Take us to the time where you're painting. And, you know, I just imagine you're painting and then something else is present with you at that place. What happens inside your being, inside your presence and your knowing when these, it's not channeling, you're going to invent a word, I absolutely know
I
it.
know it. It's like a tapping into and sharing. There has to be a new word for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Take us to the place where your brush and the canvas and this expression becomes that communication.
all right. Well, first I want to share that the brush and the canvas called me to it.
Mhm.
So, unlike everything else in my life where sort of walked towards it, or I, you know, thought, oh, what do I want to do? I want to do this. And it came from this other space. I literally was pulled. So, it was post COVID, things shifting, the world shifting. And because I'm creative, you know, I always have massive amounts of creative arts, crafts, things in my house. Like there's a
Mhm.
whole room contributed to it. And that's not including my painting studio. So I'm always buying stuff to create stuff. And as this pull happened, I was buying canvases. I'd never really painted. Like I mentioned, like art has always been something a part of my life, and I can create really anything. So I bought paints and I was doing tutorials and I wasn't touching it. I just had this new sort of obsession, and it didn't come from here. It came from out there. It just came from this ethereal realm that was a full yes. So as I started painting, it was like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. I knew that there was some other presence. I just didn't focus on that. I focused on my own personal experience. Like, wow, this is amazing. And immediately I look at the painting and I was like, there's an angel in there. And then the next one, I'm like, without trying, there's an angel in there. And there are some people who have those first paintings. It was like they just appeared. And even myself, I was like, okay, I'm not going to try. And even if I did try, they wouldn't really show up. It was sort of like an allowing and allowing that energy to guide me. And because it was so kind of out there, people would say, hey, what are you doing? Like these angels are appearing. And I said, I just go into this meditative state. It's just something just happens. And once I recognized that I was reaching into the angelic realm and I were weaving and dancing together, and acknowledging the fact that I go into state
Mhm.
and that these energies paint through from the cosmos, really through onto the canvas. That acknowledgement skyrocketed the translation. So I think that when we acknowledge we're connected to something more,
I
and
just got
even if
chills, by the way.
you
Wow. That the acknowledgement, what a powerful word there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it took courage to acknowledge it too. And at first I called it channeling. And then
Mhm.
I was like, wait a minute, it's not really going through my filter, because a channel, somebody who truly channels, they're either like possessed by the other energy you see, or and they're like, I don't know what I said, or it's going through their own filters, like maybe, some people who do Reiki or other energetics, which is really beautiful. I'm not condemning any of that. My pure experience is that it's almost like I reach up, or there's a weaving of the two, and then I just sort of like uh, scoop it onto the canvas. So it's not me and it's not possessing me. That's why, there'll be a new word. And
Yeah.
in that like acknowledgement, like, oh my gosh, this is the angelic realm.
Mm.
Everything, the frequencies on the paintings changed and illuminated, the talent and art of what the frequencies were painting illuminated, the who's were coming to find them, the painting chooses you.
Mhm.
And so when I go into the studio now, I thank the angelic realm, and I have some really sweet rituals that I like to do. I like to burn Palo Santo and light a candle, and maybe music, maybe not, because sometimes music can be distracting for me. And just allow, not allow like, okay, you do it, allow like an, all right, let's do this, thank you for being with me. And then sometimes the energy will say, go rest. And I'll go rest, and I hang out in my house and I do whatever, and then I'll feel it and I'll go, oh, we're going back. And sometimes the painting will say, we are complete, or it will say, hang it up on that special spot in your house and be with it. And then it'll say, put me back on the easel. There's this communication that happens, and it happens above the mind in this energetic, angelic tone frequency realm. And sometimes I don't even understand. Well, a lot of times I don't understand what's being transposed. And then my client will receive it and hold up a perfectly matched like favorite crystal rock next to their bed, or how it matches everything in their house. I had no idea. Or
Mhm.
it's the energy of somebody who passed and I had no idea. I mean, it just like blows me away. It's just such an honor. It's very humbling to have the experience of connecting with something that is so divine. And
Mhm.
there's a responsibility in offering that gift for other people, because it does evoke emotion, it evokes a spiritual connection. And
Quite intimate.
it's very intimate.
Mhm.
And I don't take that lightly.
No. So recently, for those that follow the podcast or my social media, they would know that my little dog passed away in February, right? So this past week, while Jackie and I were on vacation, you just text us, do dragonflies mean anything to you guys? And I was like, not particularly. I mean, they're cool little creatures, but I don't have anything going on with dragonflies. And so you texted us and said, you may want to look up the energy of the dragonfly. It's pretty powerful. And so I look it up on the web, animal totem dragonfly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Like transformation and light and wisdom. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then my mind, I think whenever we are unconscious to something, we don't see how much it is around us, but then whenever we become conscious about something, it's everywhere. And so in the room that we were staying in, there were two dragonflies painted on a painting over the bed on my side of the bed. And then there are dragonflies in the bathroom, didn't even notice, right? And then outside the next morning, I realized there's this wind chime that was all see-through translucent dragonflies. And I said in the hallway outside of the room that morning, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, I said, what is it with these dragonflies? Like Allie texts us about it. Now I'm seeing them everywhere. What is it with these dragonflies? And immediately what happened was I heard this little girl's voice, and I've shared this with you. And it was, Mom, it's me. And then I had the picture in my mind's eye of the chime. It's a doorbell that I had bought for my little dog when she was just potty training. And I hung it on the back door, and I trained her to ring the bell when she needed to go out. and it has a dragonfly on it, a metal dragonfly. And that picture came into my mind, and it's the very Dragonfly Bell that's hanging over her gravesite at the place I was at. I was
Wow.
visiting that place that weekend, and I heard this voice, a little girl's voice, Mom, it's me. And it all made sense. It all just tapped in. It was this absolute knowing, could not deny it. I went to the dining room, sat down, and bawled my little eyes out. But what the whole magic of it all, Alli, was that you and I were friends, and I've been able to participate with you and see your art and your connectivity and your genius emerge. And that was another, yes, Alli was this messenger. You were a messenger into the physical world for us from the angelic realm. And that little angel at that time that was communicating with us is my little dog Tara, who recently passed. And then that next morning I went on a run up the hill and recorded for people my view from, atop the lake. And in that recording, there's a little blue and green light that is flittering all over the place, and it looks like a dragonfly. And I was again brought to tears. So what you share, our rational mind could easily go, oh yeah, that's sort of cool, or maybe that exists, or maybe it doesn't. We can question, right? The power that you have tapped, speak with, communicate with, utilize, convey for your clients is absolutely real beyond a shadow of a doubt, isn't it?
It absolutely is. That's such a beautiful story. And there are two things that I'd like to bring to light through what you shared.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that things that are kind of unconscious, when brought to our attention, we notice it all the time. And that's sort of what I said with the angelic realm, is that when we acknowledge, even if it's in a playful way, like, okay, thanks, let's try this, odd thing, or, okay, I want to believe. Just that acknowledgement will bring them in, will bring the angelic energies closer to you. It's like opening the door to the room next door.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course, like I'm just so tickled by the story, and I have to like keep myself from sharing too much, because there's more to be revealed for you with that story. And there was one other thing that I was going to say that's kind of slipped my mind, because I'm so involved in the energetics of the dragonfly and your experience and your dog, that this is what I'm going to say, that people who have doubts, if you want to say the universe is kind of like a large blanket term. So the universe is always a yes. So if you say, I don't believe it, yes. They're not real, yes. They are real, yes. I'm an idiot, yes. I'm a believer, yes. I'm extraordinary, yes. It's like, no matter what you say, it's a yes. And then the world reveals whatever you are a co-creating yes for. So
Mm-hmm.
I have even had clients come to me. I think one was a beautiful referral, who, when we got on to the angelic reading, he's like a Texan that you'd never think was coming for an angelic reading. And what a love, what a person is, a person who followed their soul's calling, and just in that like curiosity, like, maybe, but I'm going to show up as a skeptic. I'm like, great, come on, because love always wins, right? So the curiosity is love. The I'm not sure, but there's this undertone of like, I really want it to be real. So
Dip a
that,
toe in, right? You can
yes,
dip the toe in,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm gonna dip my toe in. And then having an experience beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's like, oh my gosh, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh. So it's just with the curiosity, the door is open,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always there,
Yes.
whether you believe it or not. It is our birthright. We are spirits having a human experience. You've heard that many, 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 many times. So if we are a spirit having a human experience, why wouldn't we be able to connect with the spiritual realm?
Yeah, it's so awesome. I love this. I love this. So I own some of your beautiful works of art. And, even part of me, whenever I say your, I wonder, I was going to tap in with you. It's hard to even claim it as yours, isn't it?
It's very hard for me to claim it as mine. Even when I write my little newsletter or I post something, I'm like, Or like I just recently I posted something like, look how pretty one of my paintings in my client's house, like it's they're not mine. And
Yeah.
so yes, it's interesting that you picked that up. It's very true.
Yeah. Energetically, it's the ownership of something doesn't exist, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. We're
Exactly.
participating with a dance of the universal energies. And in that participation, it's awesome. However, so to drop back into that, human mind
Yes.
ownership thing,
Yes.
I love the art that you have helped produce that hangs in my house and hangs in my offices. And I've noticed a change in my life. So is this part of my imagination? Am I making this up? Part of me would say that's a possibility, like a placebo effect. Yet then there's this other side of me that is even greater weighted to know that when this art has arrived into the possession of the energy of my office, into the possession of the energy of the household, absolute crazy awesome manifestation, abundance, prosperity, health, awareness, transformations. I could go on and on. They are real. And is there serendipity that the art came at the time these things also appeared? Possibly. However, I'm hooked. I'm like, I want it. So I don't care if it's a placebo effect or just serendipity and coincidence, it's there, right? And so I want to talk about the work you do with your clients, um, because you do private commissions and you tap into their angelic communications and their guides. So if we could open up that conversation of what are angelic guides, what is the tapping in, what is it that you actually do with your clientele?
Okay. So there's a lot there. And I first want to say that if it's serendipity or it's just, the chicken or the egg, which came first, it's actually all of my clients. So it was something that I needed to recognize after it happened so many times. So it was sort of like the angels appearing and I go, oh, wow. And then, clients saying, oh my gosh, this is like a doorway to heaven. Like, what is this? And my life is shifting.
Got more chills, just saying, more chills, buzzing the body right now. Yep.
And so it was like the heavens, if you will, the angelic realm, what is creating this and showing time with repetition over and over. So then after that, I started offering the private commission pieces, because previously I had been painting them and then waiting to see who was going to show up. And like, I must have been connecting with you in this angelic realm. And that still happens. I do
Mhm.
spend most of my time with private commission pieces. And so therefore the client shows up first. And even in that one conversation, so I call them angelic readings, and who knows what's going to happen when we come together. The doorway opens, that connection, there's a permission. So I don't just meddle into other people's, life, and energetics. That's not a possibility. When I connect with somebody previously, it's really just a frequency and tone, and I'm curious to show up. It's more intimate and personal when you come to me first and we have an angelic reading, and I just follow the guide. Sometimes it's very relaxing. Sometimes I sing. Sometimes we do all kinds of stuff. Sometimes I'm painting. Sometimes we're writing poetry on the canvas. There's a wide range of things that can happen. And the whole intention is to open up the doorway between your celestial team, my celestial team, and the canvas. So we are all connected, and I've spent a lifetime, and I'm sure that I was blessed with the near-death experiences to have even more of a connection, and maybe a hunger and desire to always clear that connection and to want to know more about it. So not everybody has the time, the space, the willingness, the desire to go through all, to study and clear the connections. So I've done it for you. And the doorway opens, and the blessing will come through in this frequency, in this painting. Now, when I spoke earlier about being called, one of the messages, the repetitive messages that I still hear today, is how important these are for people in their homes, because of this, just now more than ever. Not only is it available, it's needed, it's wanted, all those things. Sometimes having a conversation about abundance or coaching or church or prayer or nature or all of those experiences that we have in order to be more connected,
Uh-huh.
having them in our home without having to involve really any other humans is part of the blessing of the painting. So it's in your home, it's the light of truth, it is purity of love, it is your celestial team showing up on the canvas. It is something that I hear over and over again. So anything I share with you about somebody's experience has been 100% of the people, 100% of the time have
Mm-hmm.
said, I can't stop staring at it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is. It's
It
so
glows. I
amazing. It
mean, they
glows.
glow. They glow. Like I have one in the office here, and literally as soon as, and because all the lights are out, as soon as I see it, it's glowing. I don't know why it's glowing. And then the one at home, it's freaking glowing. I mean, people even go, wow, what's that made of? That like has light behind it? Like, no, it doesn't.
I get questioned all the time, like, what are you painting with? I'm like, angelic frequency. And people will say, oh, that must be this. Oh, those are acrylic pores. I'm like, no, it's my brush and my magic dance. I have no idea what happens in that studio because I'm moving so fast.
That's so
So
awesome.
yeah, so that to answer your question, they are magic from another realm, and I just am so touched. It's just very humbling to be a part of something like this.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And then you've also had, I think, because you have a series, so you do different series that come to you as far as messages. Like it's almost like the angels want to just play, and they're like, "Okay, Allie, let's play this way," and then we're going to play this way. And so you have some series that you've done. You want to talk about the series that you've done and other messages that you've been having in these series components?
Yes, of course. So the series right now that I have going on is your guardian angel. So allowing people to connect with their guardian angel, and these are smaller pieces. And I really, for this particular series, when I paint on canvas, a few other hands get in the pot as far as like packaging it, shipping it, framing it, or, other people are somehow, at some point touch the painting. And I know that might seem frivolous. However, the message I got for guardian angel was the message comes from your guardian angel through my celestial team, my hands onto the canvas. And then I write a personal note about what I experienced, and I package it and I ship it out. It's part of the sacred ceremonial, because normally I don't do any of that other extra stuff. I just give it to someone else and it's at their studio for a while. They package it, ship it, it's hanging out there for a couple of days. And there was just something sacred about this that I wanted to keep only my hands on it until it arrived to your house in your hands. And they're like 12 by 16. They're not very big, and they're on these beautiful wood panels. So a little bit different than the canvas. And yeah, and I have another series that's coming up of the archangels. So it's going to be large pieces, I mean larger than 12 by 16, and it will be an assuming, Archangel Michael. I'm just going to call it Michael. He
Mm-hmm.
can be real, and so I'm excited for that to come up. Sometimes, with my newsletter, I offer, special little gifts and stuff for people to intimately connect with them. And that's where you see the series that are coming up.
That's awesome. And speaking of which, your newsletter it has its own magic to it. So once you start reading Allie's writing, you can't stop. It's just like you're hungry for it. Like, oh my God, it's so satiating. And then each time you give us a little listen. And so the listen is to listen to you speaking these meditations and your amazing voice in them. Could you share what the newsletter's about?
Oh, thank you so much. It is a note from the angelic realm. So again, I ask what they would like to share, and that's what comes through. And when I write, it's very, very fluid, and often I don't even read it twice. I just have my web designer, reread it. And with the listen, it's the same thing. It's just recorded once. So what comes through, however long it is. It's usually between 3 and maybe 6 minutes. I think the first one, newsletter, I really want to come up with another new name for that one
Name?
too, because it's really, and what my desire is to have an email intimate connection, because we receive so many emails. We all look at our emails, so it's not like you're going to stop looking at them. And I know for myself, when I get something in the email that's I want to see, I'm like, ooh, it's like a little
It's
nourishment
a
bite.
gift. It's a
And
gift.
yeah, it's a gift. And I also find that often people will use their newsletters They say the same thing in the newsletter as they do on their social media post, and this social media and that social media, and then it's kind of watered down. So anything that I provide on my intimate email connection is exclusive for that. So in social media, I'll say I have something new coming up, and I would rather have an intimate group, a small group of the intimate email connection, rather than a bunch of people who aren't really watching, listening to it, and
Right.
create that synergy relationship, because connection is everything. It's
Mhm.
everything.
That's beautiful. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go to allisuter.com and you're signing up for this intimate email connection. These wonderful connections. Alli's going to be the crafter of new words for all of us. And so that is ALLISUTER, ALLISUTER.com. And I invite you to also sign up for a private commission, because Alli and I spoke, and you're giving 15% off to everyone listening. And all they need to do is to put a little coupon code in, and it's bonfire. Is that
Yes,
it?
it's bonfire, all in capitals.
Mhm.
And there are more goodies, because when you sign up for the intimate email connection, you will get 2 screensavers for your phone, which are the blessings. So when you have it on your phone, every time you open up your phone, it has the same, it holds the same frequency. It's not just a picture. So you have that angelic frequency on your phone, which we all could use better frequencies on our phone. And then you
Yes.
also automatically receive the first newsletter, which has a guided meditation from me, from the angels to you. And yeah, so lots of goodies.
So awesome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to that transformation and opening in your own life, that the angels were ready. And thanks for being that messenger and that connection for us, and to keeping your channels clear so that those messages come through and we get to benefit in so many ways for this. And so I, just love being connected to you as a human on the planet, another soul. And so let's do some synopsis here today. Okay. So um, everyone, you're going to want to just have Alli in your hip pocket. She's going to be your new best friend. So you're going to go to allisuter.com, and there is her intimate email connection. We're dropping the name newsletter, and that's happening. You're going to sign up, and you're going to start receiving these beautiful gifts, plus that screensaver that you can use as your wallpaper on your phone. So those angelic vibrations and frequencies are already benefiting you in your life. And then sign up to receive your own angelic personal messages. And so it's a one-on-one with you, private, right, Alli?
Yes, it is.
And
There's
then they get that as, just is it a recording? What happens there once they have that download?
Well, there's 2 ways to receive it. One of them is booking a angelic reading, and we
Mhm,
have a Zoom together, and then there's a little follow up after that.
mhm,
Or if you when you do a private commission piece, you also that comes included.
mhm.
So there's 2 different ways to connect with me.
That's beautiful. And your art is extremely high quality. You pick these amazing canvases that are museum quality, and they're going to last many lifetimes. So this particular investment of time and energy, attention, and knowing, and your soul is something that's not only going to benefit your particular household or business or wherever you hang this beautiful piece, it's going to continue to give these frequencies into your life as a legacy.
Yes, they will. And to help you, I did add a payment plan. My intention with everything really is to give more than I receive. So I
Mm,
know often when people give stuff, there's a hook at the end. My
with
intimate email
Alli.
connection really is just about giving. And if there's anything that I haven't thought of, please email me at angels@allisuter.com. I would love to connect with you. And, we just recently added the payment plans so that people, because that was a feedback, I love your stuff, and I can budget it. And so I was like, well, I'm not a bank, but I will bring in a very easy afterpay system for you to be able to afford it. So
That's beautiful. So angels with an S, because there's multitude.
yes.
Angels at allisuter.com, ALLISUTER.com. Awesome. I can't wait to have you back on the show already, because I know that as these messages come and as your life transforms and weaves, you're bringing more gifts to us all the time. Thank you so much, Alli, for being our guest today on Light Your Life.
Thank you so much.